time finally done come. Errol Spence and Bud Crawford finally finna get to it in a couple days. At least at the time I'm recording this. I'm gonna put it up on Friday though. It's a fight years in the making, I ain't gonna lie. And I have heard a couple people say it's happening too late, but in my opinion, neither fighter shown any signs of decline, and they both appear to still be at the peak of their powers. Even if that was the case, we all still sat and tapped in to Mayweather versus Pacquiao, so I don't even want to hear that excuse. Regardless though, this fight really is as close to a pick'em as you can get, being that both parties are so great. As I mentioned before in my first video about this fight, stylistically it's so interesting because the biggest strengths of both guys should do well in taking advantage of the other's biggest quote-unquote weaknesses. And I want to say that because I don't really think neither guy has any glaring holes in their game per se, and they both super well-rounded. Now for Errol Spence, I'm definitely in that camp that think his best path for victory is to just do what he do. He himself has mentioned on multiple occasions that he want to break Terence Crawford. And honestly, if he is able to go in there and impose his will, I could kind of see that happening. I don't see Bud quitting or nothing like that, but Errol's relentless pressure and constant body attack has broken champions at 147. And with Bud being a naturally smaller man, I can see Errol wearing down on him over 12 rounds. He always moved forward, sticking behind that jab, using his educated pressure and phenomenal footwork to cut off the ring and stick his opponents against the ropes. And once he get him there, he's excellent at framing, whether it's with his head, shoulders, or his elbows, which sets him up for his crazy body attack. Now, in my mind, he's easily one of the best pressure fighters in the division, but I do think he is the best inside fighter at 147. And I do think it would serve Bud well to not engage too often in those exchanges. Speaking on Bud, the name of the game for him is versatility and adaptability. Now, I always personally thought he was at his best when it's an outside boxing match and he taking the southpaw stance. That ain't me trying to say I don't think he good at anything else. I just feel like right there, that's where he at his most comfortable. Now, his own jab alongside his footwork gonna be the biggest things for him against Errol. He need to constantly be on the move and keep Errol on his toes because out of the two, Errol is more of the plotter. And Bud has always been a fantastic counter striker, and I think in this fight, that's gonna show itself the most. To me, the biggest weakness for Errol is at times when he moves forward, he do leave openings on himself. And with a fighter as fast and sharp as Bud, that can definitely be something he take advantage of at some point. Now that really just plays in the Errol style as a whole, as he's constantly moving forward, throwing shots. And I honestly think that a lot of the blows that he's taking is because he put himself in them situations. Now something interesting I could see Errol potentially doing in the fight is actually dialing the pressure back, maybe just a notch or two, and keeping things a little calm, at least early on, and more so forcing Bud to make the first move. Now that is something that Bud can do very well, but I feel like if Errol can force Bud forward and intercept his forward pressure with his jab, that could serve as a safer and much more efficient way for Errol to get his pressure going, instead of potentially lunging forward as he will do at times, which is something he will not be able to do against Bud. I clearly see the path to victory for both. Again, this right here is a 50-50 fight if we ever done seen one in combat sports, period, in my opinion. And both guys are so great and dominant that it's hard to even see one lose. Now, in my other video, I said I was slightly leaning towards Bud. And to be honest, I don't know what's happened over the past week, but I'm going to take the risk. And in my final prediction, I'm going to slightly lean towards Errol now. I'm talking like 51% to 49% type. Now, I do myself see that as a risk because I still do think that Bud is the slightly better boxer, a little more polished. I think he's going to be faster, and I think his counter-striking is going to do well against Errol, but I'm feeling like Errol going to be able to impose his will, especially early on, being that Bud is a slower starter. Really get out ahead with his output early on and put Bud in situations where he has to swing a little more. And I honestly don't favor Terence Crawford in no fight with Errol Spence. So obviously I could easily get this wrong. My comment section going to be crazy. I ain't really tripping on it like that though. I'm just excited to see the fight, to be honest. It's one of the best boxing matches we done seen in a real long time. And I really feel like it's going to be one of them that's talked about 30, 40, 50 years in the future. So